What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the spot where we kick back and react to all kind of different things. All right, so what we got going on today? We're checking out something a little different. It's within what I normally do. You know, this is going to be an animal video from a channel called True Facts. Now, seeing the subscriber base, I'm pretty sure some of y'all have heard of this channel before, but I just ran across them. Although I do know about them years back, maybe before this channel got off the ground. I'm not sure. I don't know how long this channel's been around, but years back, I remember this True Facts segment had a thing going on Facebook. I don't know if they still do, but it was like really short clips of him talking about animals, giving animal facts, but being hilarious the entire time, dropping all kinds of jokes. So I saw maybe like 3 or 4 of those way back when, and then I didn't really see him much anymore. So I forgot about it. But then in my feed, all of a sudden this pops up, True Facts. I'm like, oh, so he done moved over to YouTube. That's why I didn't see him on Facebook anymore. Okay, so we're gonna jump into this. This is their newest video. Spider warning, this is about tarantulas, so spider warning for those of you who don't like seeing spiders. I really don't like them either, you know, but I'm willing to watch this. Not to mention, I found that even though I can't deal with spiders being around me, watching stuff like this definitely helps desensitize, so I'm not as freaked out if I do see one. So that's my way of coping. That's my way of desensitizing and getting past it. I don't know about yours. I'm not expecting you to do the same thing as me, but we're gonna go ahead and jump into this. All right, so check this out. See if it's just as funny as I remember, and if so, it'll probably be a part of the rotation. So let's go ahead and get into this. True Facts, all about tarantulas. Spider warning. Don't get mad at me and say I didn't warn you, because I did. All right, let's go.
This episode is sponsored by Brilliant. Learn to think. Listen, this episode is about tarantulas, but I want you to know that this cricket here could not give a flying well, you'll see.
Okay. Oh yes, I see. He let you know this is about tarantulas. Fair warning. Fair warning.
Start from the beginning. These balls here are the developing eggs of an arachnid in the family Theraphossidae, otherwise known as a tarantula. Now, tarantulas are spiders, and spiders are arthropods, and arthropods are built out of little Lego block segments that often repeat like a centipede do. And look at that. You can see the segments right there. It's all rolled up in a ball, but if you unrolled it, it looks a bit like a pug version of a centipede. All the segments in the back will fuse together to form the big butt part of the spider. All the front segments also fuse together and become very leggy. But right now, this one's almost ready to hatch. You can see little fangs. And look, he's not even born yet, and he has a 5 o'clock shadow. When they hatch, these little babies are tiny. Eggs with legs is what they call them. They're very cute. I mean, look at the one on the left. It's got straight up puppy dog eyes. These babies have a lot of growing to do.
Not cute to me. Why have I been hearing that so much lately? In this, also a lot in like anime and stuff and things like that. I've been seeing even like some YouTube shorts of people talking about how cute spiders are. Spiders aren't cute. They're creepy. All right, let's get that out the way right now. They're not cute.
But for a tarantula, growing is a whole thing. They wear their skeletons on the outside, fashion choice. The skeletons don't really grow, so if they want to get bigger, they have to make a whole new one. Here, let's watch a grown-up one do it. Now, it does look a bit dead, but what's happening is that it's grown a whole new version of what you see right there underneath what you see right there. And now it's time to wriggle out of the old hairy onesie. It's like if you wanted a mustache and had to grow it underneath your skin and then rip your face off. Or like an exorcism, where you're both the demon and the possessed. Look at that part.
Neither one of those analogies sounds like a good time. I'm thinking about my mustache. What if I had to grow my mustache and then tear the skin off my lip to show my mustache? Like, oh man. You see, you learn about some things, and even the animals that creep you out, you start to feel sorry for them in a way. Like, man, life is rough.
There, went full wrinkled testy. After it's loosened up a bit, the tarantula uses its new leg.
What did he say right there? Hold on, let's back that up.
Or like an exorcism, where you're both the demon and the possessed. Look at the back part there, went full wrinkled testy. After it's loosened up a bit, the tarantula uses its new legs to push off its old body. And look at all that stuff it had to rebuild, all the way down to those little hairs. And just to make it confusing, they're not even called hairs, they're called setae. And they're not like our hairs, which don't do shit. They can do all sorts of things. You'll see. This looks a bit like a Muppet sex toy. Anyway, after the mold's done, it must feel...
I'm sorry. I'm not gonna pause on every joke, but that one got me.
a little weird, walking away from essentially your corpse. And of course, the way they walk is a whole thing. They have an open circulatory system. Basically, the tubes that come out the heart just end and dump blood into different parts of the body cavity. Blood goes back into the heart through slits on the heart itself. So their bodies are sort of like a blood-filled demon stress ball. And that's sort of how they move. They squeeze blood into their legs to extend them, and then they use muscles to pull them back. A dead tarantula has no blood pressure, so its legs curl in. Now, at the end of their feet, they got little claws, and they use them to climb on rough surfaces.
Wait, but that's the reason why their legs curl up when they die? Lack of blood circulation? Huh. Oh, speaking of, did y'all see that weird thing on the news where they was talking about creating, like, pinchers, like, what was it? Like, paper clips out of dead spiders? By using electrons to freaking get their legs to move. Weird stuff. I don't know where some of these scientists be coming up with some of these ideas. Like, why? Why are we even doing this? But yeah, that's just where my mind went just now when you mentioned about their legs curling. But yeah, that's an interesting fact. Very interesting, I guess, yeah. Lack of blood circulation. Okay.
Look at that. They can also climb on glass. I know what you're thinking. How the hell do they do that? So it turns out they have these little hairy pads on their feet. And if you look close, they're like little feathers designed to spread out and make close contact with the microstructure of a surface. The close contact creates tiny little attractive forces called van der Waals forces. And if you add up a whole bunch of those tiny forces, you can hold on. And you don't need any glue. It's called dry adhesion. But here's the thing. When tarantulas walk on glass, they leave behind these little goopy footprints. Doesn't look that dry to me. And of course, the science hippies can't leave something like that alone. One team found silk in the footprints, and they found these little things with holes in them on their feet. So they said that must be where the silk comes from. And so they published a paper saying that tarantulas cling to smooth surfaces by secreting silk from their feet. Some other scientists were like, hold on, there's silk everywhere. How do you know they didn't just step in some ordinary butt silk and were walking around with it stuck to their shoe like toilet paper? The second team covered a tarantula's butt with wax, so there wasn't any stray silk. When they redid the experiment, there was no silk in the footprints. And so they published a paper saying that tarantulas do not shoot silk from their legs. Burn. And another group found that those setae with holes in them were actually fluid-filled tubes used to sample and sense chemicals. So the footprints are sort of like leftovers from licking the ground. The tarantula was fine. They washed it off with a bit of warm water, and it got a free butt waxing out of it. Hush now, I know what you're thinking. What about that cricket? The one that don't give up? Well, we'll get to that in a minute, after a brief message about our sponsor. Brilliant is a wonderful hands-on way to learn science, math, and...
Okay. Oh, he actually marked where the sponsor ends. Nice.
Where were we? Oh, right. So tarantulas' feet may not make silk, but their back bits certainly do. And they're out there tippy-tapping all over the place. They live in these burrows that they line with silk. Sometimes it's a little hidey hole in the ground, and sometimes it's up in a tree. The silk they make isn't the sticky kind, but all those threads that they leave outside their burrow are sort of an extension of their senses. They got little hair things on their legs that can sense tiny vibrations, so they can tell if something's snooping around. Well, not that time. You know this fly's f***ed. They can grab with their front legs and then hold on with these little arm-like things called pedipalps. Now,
well, he said not this time. It may not have even wanted that particular insect. Like I said, I've seen a lot of these things about spiders, just trying to work through my own fear of spiders and everything. And it's, like I said, it's helped. But one thing that I have learned is that not only do they feel vibrations to know something is there, they know what is there. And so they'll choose whether or not they're going to attack it. So he might have just been like, no, you're nasty. I don't want you. Get out of here.
And then hold on with these little arm-like things called pedipalps. Now, right next to their mouth, they've got a stubby little pair of limbs called the chelicerae, and that's where the fangs are, and the fangs probably evolved from claws. So the fangs are more like if you had little T-Rex hands with teeth for fingers on either side of your mouth hole. These fangs are hollow and connected to a venom gland that delivers, well, venom. This venom both paralyzes prey and begins to digest them from the inside. Alright, so if you've ever wondered how few the f***s are that a cricket gives, then look at this. This tarantula right here is eating 2 crickets. But you know what the cricket in the front is doing? It's friggin' eating the other cricket. I mean, that right there is a cricket that don't give a fuck. Now,
from Santa Claus, Indiana,
Unskippable
to
ads.
Snowflake,
Really?
Arizona, and everywhere in between. We're holiday ready with fast and reliable delivery, serving every address in America. The United States Postal Service.
now the fangs don't just puncture.
Now that right there is truly the epitome of not giving a not giving a fuck. He's getting eaten. Him and his homeboy's getting eaten, and he figures, forget it. I'm gonna have myself a last meal. I'm gonna eat my homeboy while we're getting eaten. Like, what kind of? Wow, that's crazy.
Friggin' eating the other cricket. I mean, that right there is a cricket that don't give a fuck. Now the fangs don't just puncture. You can see them right here sort of squeezing. The side of the chelicerae opposite the fangs is lined with little teeth-like structures that help crush the prey, like a little nutcracker. Ooh, that's nasty. This is important because spiders forgot to evolve a mouth that can chew. They just have a narrowed tube connected to a sucking stomach, which acts a bit like the bulb end of a pipette. Tarantulas are essentially on a liquid diet and have to puree their food and even strain it through special straining hairs to get rid of the chunks. They often wrap their prey up in silk, which can be a bit of an awkward pirouette if the food's up front and the silk comes out the back. It's not easy, and some of the things they eat are big, like this one got a baby possum. You try making silk pajamas for a possum with your ass. Oh,
Baby
look,
possum.
it's time for
Jeez.
mating. This is Clarence, and he's going to show you how he makes his sperm web. Now, when human males masturbate, it often ends with a Kleenex. Male tarantulas, on the other hand, start the whole process by making one. While he's setting it up,
Oh, I can't repeat none of that. I'm just gonna rewind it. Oh.
silk comes out the back. It's not easy, and some of the things they eat are big, like this one got a baby possum. You try making silk pajamas for a possum with your ass. Oh, look, it's time for mating. This is Clarence, and he's going to show you how he makes his sperm web. Now, when human males masturbate, it often ends with a Kleenex. Male tarantulas, on the other hand, start the whole process by making one. While he's setting it up, let me explain. Spiders evolved from arthropods that lived in the water. If you live in the water, you don't have to worry about your sperm drying out. You can just let your sperms and eggs float around and make babies. But when they came on land, they had to figure out how to get the sperms over to the females. They didn't want a penis. Come on, a spider with a penis. It would screw up their defensive posture, I'll tell you that. It wouldn't be frightening, it'd be lurid. So evolution said, I have an idea. So male spiders evolved a special organ on their second pair of limbs. These palpal bulbs are often hidden because they're tucked back and under. You can see one right there peeking out a bit. If you flip them forward, you can get a better view. I mean, in the end, it does look a bit like a dog penis. Inside, it's quite complex, and it takes a number of molts before all the parts are formed and in the right places. It's essentially a long coiled-up tube inside of a very specific shape that's different for each species. It has to be bendy and stiff in just the right places to work. Now, here's the problem. The place where the sperm comes out is not near these bulbs, and in fact, it's out of reach. Seems like a pretty big oversight, but this is where Clarence's little nappy comes in. It's pretty ingenious. First, he separates a bit from the ground and then climbs underneath so he's upside down. Then he turns around. It's a bit awkward. He has another pair of little spinnerets behind the big ones, and he uses them to weave a tiny little patch of special silk. It's onto this patch that he deposits sperm, so the sperm sort of hangs down like a little goober. Then he climbs back on top of the web, and then alternately sticks his little hand bulbs into the sperm ball. Capillary action pulls sperm up into the tubes. You can try this at home. Once his palpable bulbs are loaded with the sperms, the male is ready for a night out.
Wait, so that means he's got a... So basically he has to secrete sperm from one part of his body and then like a tube suck it up into another part of his body so he can go mate. This is why I'm glad I was born a human. All these extra steps. It's crazy. I don't know if I... How many people even have the patience to go through all that?
Once his palpable bulbs are loaded with the sperms, the male is ready for a night out on the town. Or day, whatever it takes really. He's a very horny spider at this point. He leaves the safety of his burrow in search of a female, but females like to stay in on the weekends, have some me time. So the male has to do a sort of trick-or-treat version of dating, where you wander around and knock on doors hoping to get lucky. Oops, that's another male. The problem with all of this is that it leaves the male tarantula very vulnerable. Yeah. He is snack size for quite a few animals and has a nice little crunch to him. Luckily, he isn't completely defenseless. He's got the fangs and a defensive posture designed to show them off. But remember, they have hairs for everything, so of course there's some special defensive hairs. Some species have these patches of stridulating setae. By rubbing them together, they can make a hissing noise. That's a noisy, not-so-patient spider right there. No judgment. I mean, have you ever been accosted by a microphone the size of your upper body? You might make that sound too. Some of the New World tarantulas also have urticating setae. These setae are barbed and designed to break off fairly easily. Often the way they break leaves one end with a tip that looks just like a hypodermic needle. They are designed to work themselves down and into a surface on contact. And let me tell you, if these urticating hairs get on your skin or in your eyes or on your mucous membranes, they can hurt like hell. Kill me. Some tarantulas will rapidly rub these setae patches when they are threatened, sending out a little cloud of these hairs. But despite all of this, they still have a serious issue with one predator in particular. It is called the tarantula hawk, a name which is a lot less frightening than what it is, which is a wasp. But imagine a wasp that compared to you is roughly the size of a dog. And you know what this wasp does? It goes searching around in tarantula burrows or just waits until the horny males come out and then tries to sting them through the soft patch on their belly. Look at this one, he flipped right on his back like some jiu-jitsu specialist.
Yeah, that is true though. I've seen other documentaries about those things. They're crazy. Sometimes they'll die in the fight, but they don't care. They're gonna keep on. They're gonna attack. They're gonna get their spider.
What are you going to do against that? Walk away, certainly, but don't raise your butt up like that. It gives them a target. Yeah. Oh, there it goes. If the wasp finds an opening, all it takes is a moment. The sting delivers a venom that paralyzes the tarantula. The wasp then drags the tarantula about, looking for a suitable spot, where it will pause and then lay its eggs on top of the tarantula's body. Yep. Then it freaking buries it, often alive. And then you know what happens. The little wasp babies eat the tarantula. It's horrifying. And that's the kind of bullshit that the male tarantulas have to deal with when they want to go out on a date. Once the male finds a hidey hole with a potential mate, he has to convince the female to come out and party. Now,
yeah, be glad you're not a spider. Imagine that. Imagine you trying to go out and find a woman and everything, and one of the problems you got to deal with is a whole nother animal that wants to paralyze you and then have their babies eat you alive. Yeah. Happy we're human.
Now, it might not look like much, but this is sort of like an upside-down version of the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet. But they both have bongos, and Juliet is potentially a pissed-off cannibal. Half of one, 6 dozen of the other. Here, you can see it a bit better in these...
And that's the other thing, the pissed-off cannibal. That was the other thing right there. You got to worry about the woman you're going after trying to eat you, too. Rough. It's rough.
Diorama versions. See all that tapping? Well, they're flirting by Morse code using vibrations. Now, it goes on like this until she stops responding or she comes out of the burrow, which can be terrifying. You know, she shows up at the door and she's heavily armed.
Need a stocking stuffer? Stock up on Joy, Kinder Joy, with special holiday toys.
Run away! But if all goes well, this gives the tarantulas a chance to feel each other out. Literally. It's kind of cute. Looks like the fidgety hand-holding of a movie first date. Now, all this closeness does start to force the issue of the whole fangs thing. Male tarantulas have spurs on their front pair of legs. One of the first moves he has to pull off is to get those spurs underneath the female's fangs. If he f***s this part up, it's best to just abort. Once he has his spurs in place and her fangs are firmly secured, he lifts her up and begins to explore her underside with his spermed-up palps. The female has two small openings that lead to her spermathecae, organs that store sperm until the female is ready to lay her eggs. Here's what the spermathecae look like from the inside. Think of them like little pockets. For sperm, you don't want to put your keys in there. Spermathecae come in all sorts of shapes. This one looks like a drowning snail. Here's a happy frog. Two pigs in a hot tub that just had an argument. Or a gummy bear that just wants to hide under the covers. The male's palpal bulb is just the right shape to put sperm into these little pockets. Now, people used to think that the males found these holes without being able to feel anything, because they assumed the bulbs evolved from claws which don't have nerves. But recently, science hippies figured out they come from something behind the claw, so they can feel, and the spiders are like, yeah, duh. That's why we keep doing it. Anyways, once he finds those holes, he sort of injects his sperm into the spermathecae, on top of whatever other sperm might be up there. Whoever is last has the best shot at fertilizing the eggs. When it's all over, it's time for the male to make a quick escape, lest he become the snack for the post-sex hungries. Females can store sperm until they're ready to lay eggs. The sperm isn't active during that time. Instead, clusters of sperm are...
Yeah, it brings a whole new meaning to hit it and quit it, right? Imagine if you had to do that just to live for another day. I gotta survive till tomorrow. I'm out. Get off me. Get off me, woman.
Snack for the post-sex hungries. Females can store sperm until they're ready to lay eggs. The sperm isn't active during that time. Instead, clusters of sperm are held inside of these little balls, go figure, called coenospermia. This seems to be protection against drying out. But when the female is ready to lay her eggs, the outer membranes of these balls break and release the individual sperm. They then uncoil and are ready for the fertilization party. The female constructs a little silk nappy on the ground called an egg sac. It will provide a sterile, insulated environment for her babies. Some species embed their urticating hairs into the egg sac, which provides a bit of extra protection against parasites. Once this layer is done, she deposits her eggs quickly and carefully. The eggs are surrounded by a fluid that will be absorbed in the first hour of development. Depending on the species, she will lay anywhere from a handful of eggs to thousands. She then begins to lay down another layer of silk, gently and precisely making a soft and sterile silk home for all her future little babies. I mean, it's a little weird. She basically sewed her children into a beanbag. And then she drags that around. Excuse me, madam, what you got there? Oh, it's a dirty pillow stuffed with your babies? That's a phone call to protective services. And I tell you, some of them get frogs to babysit. And you can't trust a frog. I suppose it's better than a cricket, because they don't give a
Oh, that was hilarious. Just as funny as the little clips I remember. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to make this part of the rotation. Our next animal channel will be exploring true facts. Alright, y'all. Alright, y'all know what to do. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what y'all thought about this one. Let me know what you'd like to see me react to next. Hit that like button before you go. Share this video with everyone you know. And subscribe if you haven't done so already. Alright, so, till next time, take care of yourselves. And I'm out of here.